Hello and welcome to another comedian's interview for my blog and podcast, A Rich Comic Life. My name is Richard Gill and my blog describes my experiences of watching over 1,500 comedians for 50 years. My guest today is the fantastic comedian, Mr. Bob Boyton. Yay!
Yes.
Hello, my friend.
Lovely to be here.
How are you doing?
No, it's good. It's good. Yeah.
Good man. I'm so
recovering.
pleased you're my guest. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while.
Well, it's very flattering, and I must say, any comedian who hears somebody say they've been to see 1,500 comedians, it's going to go, "What's up with this guy? I've got to meet him." So,
Well, you're very kind. You're very kind. So the interview is going to last about 45 minutes to an hour, and it's all about your comedy career. And I'm looking forward to some wonderful anecdotes from you, as well as me. I might throw the odd anecdote in myself. I'm gonna kick off by asking you, how did you become a comedian in the first place, please?
well, it's quite a multi-layered answer, as they say. Um, I don't know who'd say that. I wouldn't say that. It's quite multi-layered. Um, I was kind of for, from about 1968 to about 1983, 84. I was very involved in left-wing politics.
Yeah.
I was involved. I was a member of. Um, I changed jobs a couple of times, but I've been a building worker. I've worked in social services, um, and then I went to work. I ran a campaign for a year called the Campaign Against Youth Unemployment. And on the basis of that, really, I was offered a job helping run a centre for the unemployed in Brent. What I hadn't allowed for was that the people on the management committee with any influence were people who were in diametrically opposed to me in our views about the Soviet Union, amongst other things. Uh, just to clarify, I thought the Berlin Wall was a bad idea.
Yes.
You know, and if Albrecht or Honecker had just come to me, I'd have said, "Look, chaps, it might work where you come from, but it ain't a good look." But they didn't. So I fell out with the Stalinists who held sway of the management committee in this place. My partner was 4 or 5 months pregnant, um, and I think I was just getting a job as a cleaner in a hostel for homeless men, place called Arlington House, which at the time was the biggest hostel in Europe, and which features in one way or another as a background to a lot of the fiction I write. Um, so I was actually going to go and see my former landlady, an actress called Paola Giorgiotti. She was in a show somewhere. And then I saw this comic workshop advertised at the Crown and Castle in Hackney.
Wow.
Um, and I just changed trains and went to it. And John Hegley took the class.
Oh
And
my God.
in the first half, uh, I wasn't really getting anywhere. I don't know. I just didn't have a feel for it. I should have done because I was used to making speeches.
Yeah, yeah.
It was always the speech making I enjoyed most about politics. I've always been a show off. Um, but um, so in the second half, John Higley set this exercise: do a drawing of a person, and then do a minute's material, talk for a minute about the guy you done the drawing of. So I drew this pink-faced fat bloke. I know you'd need me to tell you that's what it was. And I did this funny posh voice, and I said, I'm a pink city pig, and the group laughed, and that was it. An obsession was
Brilliant.
born, and yeah, it was as simple as that. And
So
then I
what
went to the Crown and Castle regularly for over a year.
what sort of year are we talking about here then? When you
So
did your
that
first
so the workshop that would have been 1983, November,
1983?
yeah.
You would have
Then
got on really well with my dad, God bless him. My dad's legacy was that he became president of Nalgo, and he, with two other union leaders, formed Unison.
Wow.
My home city is Carlisle, and I've lived in London for 30 odd years, and we're so proud of him because
Mm.
the passion he had for what he believed in was unbelievable. You
I
know.
could have figured, was there a Vi girl?
Yeah, that's right.
Is she related? She was South London, I think. No.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And you mentioned John Hegley. I first
Yeah.
saw him in 1989, and the gig was "Can I Come Down Now, Dad?" That was one of the first he ever did, and the support he had a disabled theatre group on with him, like a workshop. And every year we go to the Edinburgh Fringe, we always make a point of seeing him, and he's the loveliest bloke.
Yeah.
Oh, he really is, and his work for comedy is amazing, absolutely
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how it
And
all
he,
started.
yeah. So, can I ask you what your dad's name was?
William
Or
Gill.
is William Gill? No.
So he was president of Nalgo in 1984.
Right. Is he still with us?
No,
No.
no, he sadly passed on. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm
but he
sorry
was
to hear that.
yeah, but he of course he was a wonderful man. He was my dad. He didn't have me laugh, of course, but he was the nicest character you could meet. And you two would have got on like a house on fire.
Yeah.
So
I mean, me and
so
my dad, we were at loggerheads politically for
right,
years.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that was
yeah.
that's one of the sources of my humour, to be honest.
Yes. So you've described your first gig. Um, what did you like to talk about on stage? Did you have any specific themes
Okay.
or anything like that?
So, well, what happened was that was really that was just a workshop. There's no audience except for the
Right.
members of the workshop. But then I don't know if it was the week after or I was doing some late shifts, so I couldn't get there every Tuesday. But the next time I went, we were supposed to have written 5 minutes material. So I wrote 5 minutes of this stage vicar. Um, why I don't know. I, I think even now a lot of comedians are very influenced by the radio comedy they grew up with.
Yeah.
Certainly my generation,
Yeah.
and stage vicars were a bit of a staple part of the staple diet. So I was, and then I put on this posh voice, and then we did actually do a gig to which an audience was invited. Um, I think Tony Allen compared it,
Wow.
um, and I think I've got a feeling that the madman himself, uh, Podomowski,
Oh
um,
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think he was the paid act.
Right.
It's kind of beautiful dinner suit I bought for a fiver and a dog collar, and I didn't get anywhere, and I wasn't getting anywhere. And then at one point, I went on holding the Bible, and I just threw the Bible down and went, "Oh, fuck the good book," and started rolling myself a fag. And I got a great laugh on it. I got a really good laugh on it.
That's
Um,
brilliant. That's
so
that's what I like about you. The daring. You're no you've got no fear.
yeah, uh, yeah, maybe yeah, maybe no fear, or maybe just not being able to be flexible enough. Arnold Brown said to me once, he said, Bob, he said, why don't you just do 5 minutes about going through walking down through a supermarket? I said, well, I'll start with 5 minutes, Arnold, but by the end, I'll be nicking food, you know, or trying to half inch a bottle of scotch. Um, it's just in the stars.
Brilliant.
So, so I did do. I mean, much later when I did the cutting edge, I
Yeah.
did not moderate, but I went for slightly more conventional targets, I'd say.
Let's talk more about the cutting edge. This because you are credited as being one of the original comedians to form the cutting edge, which is a night at the Comedy Store, isn't it?
Yeah, the idea was a chap called John Connor, who had he was when City Limits hived off from Time Out.
Yeah,
He was their comedy critic, um, and he must have been friendly with Kim Kinney, who was the
yeah.
I don't know what his post was, but he was the second in charge at the store. Um, uh, and the idea was to try and see if they could get something a bit more cutting edge, really, at the store, rather than stuff that was sort of well worn and well tested. Um, and so it was supposed to be a topical show. It never. We did do some topical stuff, and I learned thanks to that show. I learned how to do topical material. Um, but I should also say, I mean, um, I owe a vote, big thanks to Kevin Day and Mark Thomas. They were in the original grouping, and then Mark still dropped out. And Connor said, "Well, who do you know?" So I said, "Well, we should have Bob." And just being regularly on the bill at the store is. I don't know about these days. I'm sure it's true though. In those days, it was certainly the case
That's
that it was
incredible.
like having gold dust sprinkled over you.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so you could bring up some little gig and they go, "Well, have you anywhere played anywhere I've heard of?" So I said, "You say, well, have you heard of the Comedy Store?" And sometimes people hadn't, but they were impressed. You know, so I got a lot more work.
That's
Um,
incredible. So,
partly
how did you
thanks
end
to
up going to the
the
Comedy Store in the first place? So I'm talking about from when you were doing your 5 minute slots in 1983. How did you then
Okay, yeah.
progress to the Comedy Store?
Okay, so well, um, yeah. Just trying to think. Just to carry on with 1983 a little, 1984 a little bit.
Yeah.
Got to 1984, as we know, appropriately enough. Um, and I got offered a gig for a fiver at a pub called the Pegasus, which was partly, and the gig was run by people who were involved with the Crown and Castle Cabaret. The Pegasus became Chaz's at one point. It was Chaz and Dave bought it, but I
Wow.
think they never got it off the ground as an entertainment venue. So I did that, and then a couple of months later, I got a phone call, um, and would I like to play the tunnel?
Oh,
Uh, it was Malcolm Hardy,
yeah.
and
Genius.
who were American Unprudent Trucker, that sort of thing. Um, and he said, "Well, everyone else," he said, "everyone else is in Edinburgh, and Roy Hutchins has passed your name on to me." So I said, and it was, most of the circuit, all 25 of them or whatever, were in Edinburgh, but it
Yeah.
was only about. It could have been 25, 30. I don't imagine there'd have been 50 people from the circuit there.
No.
There were 50 people on the circuit. So I had an anxiety state for about 3 weeks before I had a tunnel. It made just sorting the computer out tonight look easy peasy. Um, I was just in a terrible state because it had a real rough old reputation. But first of all, it was a good bill. Sealing Wells was top of the bill.
Wow.
And then Andy De La Tour was the bloke in the middle.
Oh, superb.
Right. And then Melton came on and went, the next one's new, probably shit, fucking come on, give him a clue.
Charming.
Probably fucking shit. Um, and actually it went all right. I think, to be honest with you, it's one of the, it was a gig where my accent went in my favour because there was quite a lot of, um, middle class prejudice against performers with working class accents.
Yeah.
Not surprising when you think about the likes of Davidson
Yeah, of course.
and
Yeah.
Manning
Sadly.
and Jimmy Jones,
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, sadly, they were what represented working class humour. but yeah, the tunnel worked for me. Um, although I have seen them be really savage. You know.
So
Um,
did that become a regular one of your regular many
so
venues to
I,
play?
I, yeah, sorry, I suppose I did that about 3 or 4 times a year.
Right.
Um, and it was a reasonable payer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Depended a bit how well Malcolm had done at the bookies that afternoon, how much you paid.
Good for you.
I,
So,
I tell you, I tell you who went down well there was Incognito.
super. He's
Because
brilliant.
he was
He is
so
brilliant.
fierce,
Yeah.
so
And
fierce.
and you mentioned about Andy De La Tua. I saw Rick Mail, God bless him, in Carlisle on tour in something like 1987, and Andy De La Tua was the support. And he
Right,
did a show at Edinburgh a few years ago on his own, and I mentioned that I was in that gig. I was in the audience in the gig, and he nearly burst into tears because the love for Rick Mail. He was such an extraordinary talent, and yet he was a great support as well. He really created the atmosphere so he could come on
mm,
and just do his thing. He was extraordinary, and all
mm.
these people like your good self who paved the way for all the comedians now is amazing. Just incredible. So thank you very much.
Well, I think I started at a very interesting time. I mean, when I started, there was already people were looking back to a golden age.
Yeah,
But I don't think the golden age ever really existed. Not in political terms. I
yeah,
mean, I think in terms of of variety, there were people who are doing new things with variety, like Andrew Bailey, I've mentioned, and like the Iceman,
yeah.
who's a bit of a bore. And even like that Chris Luby, who did the different whistles and songs.
I remember him. Yeah.
Yeah. But, he was trying something different. Um, there wasn't, I mean, Alexis Sow does stuff about, we're doing comedy to bring down the collapse, to further the collapse of capitalism. But I don't think anybody was doing that stuff, really. That's the truth of it. Uh, I,
So that must have been amazing because without you realizing, you were all so original.
uh, yeah, I would say, I mean, a generation of comedians is sometimes only a year long. Um, but I think it was a bit of a lull. I think when I first started, I've got a feeling the comedy store was closed.
Right.
I think maybe it's being redecorated. Um, because I didn't play there for quite a long time. Um, um, but we were paving the way. Uh,
So um, when you did play there, did you start on bills? So you so there's obviously if you go to the comedy store, it was one of the first comedy clubs I ever went to when I came down to London, and obviously there's the bill on the Saturday night or the Friday night of 5 comedians. So you're obviously one of those doing your 10-20 minute set. How did the cutting edge come out of that? Did you? I know you mentioned it before, but did you have this idea that you were going to do a regular thing every week?
well, I should just to finish on the comedy store of the
Sorry, yeah,
week.
do carry on.
I should say um, I, I never really found the self belief you needed to play it, particularly the late show.
Right.
Um, and I've um, I've said that Kevin Day and Mark Thomas were mates of mine, and they were and very kind as well. But they had a toughness that I never really had.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I was. You could argue that's because my stuff was a bit more provocative, uh, but no more provocative than a lot of stuff Tomo does. Um, in fact, I don't go to comedy a huge amount at the moment, but whenever I do, sex always comes up as a topic with at least one or two of the acts. when I went to the Irish Centre um, about 2 or 3 months ago, and there wasn't the only mention of sex was a middle-aged lady who'd got who well, her only she had one gag about sex, about having a Bluetooth butt plug, which was
It was
just
worth it.
mind blowing. I
So,
just but,
so it's so fascinating that
but
you
it was
mention that
but
you mentioned Kevin Day, because he's been on here, lovely bloke, and
yeah,
he was instrumental in me interviewing Barry Cryer on this podcast, and I was probably the last person to interview him, which was just an honour. He was an absolute joy to interview because he's written
yeah,
for
no,
everybody.
I can imagine he would be.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
and a joke for everything. He was amazing. Kevin Day is a really great comic talent. I think he really is. I haven't seen him do a bad set in all the years I've watched him.
No, I mean, what with him and Mark, they both got is they'll, even if it doesn't go well for the first couple of minutes, there's no panic, there's
Yeah,
no kind of worry, there's no stopping being funny.
yeah,
And I was always a bit more, I was a bit of a sensitive lad. But the cutting edge, really, I wasn't playing the store very often, maybe once a year, at the point at which I joined the cutting edge. But we did some, sorry, this is, you asked about
no,
cutting
no,
edge five
please
minutes
carry
ago.
on.
Um, but um, there was a bit of teamwork. We had a different compare for the first half and second half. Um, I think we had. Oh yeah, and the audience were asked to submit a topic for they wanted to joke about. Um, and
That's right. Yeah.
I can't remember when did they put the ideas in during the interval. I think I remember when we took the show up to Glasgow. Somebody's I think we're there to spice things up. We specified they could ask which act, which comic they wanted to do, which story. So these clever bloody Glaswegians thought they were going to have me over. They said we'd like Bob Boyton to do something on post-structuralism,
And they didn't.
which luckily I had heard of. I didn't know if I could spell it, but I had heard of it.
So how long were you in the cutting edge for?
So I think that was about what happened was this is I'm going to end up with no radical credentials at all by the end of this interview. What happened was I did an advert. I had a bit of luck. What happened was I was doing a version of the Chuckle Club when it was down at Victoria.
Yeah.
Eugene Cheese. I think it's nearly the anniversary of his death as we're recording this.
Right.
I think it's the anniversary of his death.
So this
It's
is
just
being
passed.
recorded September
But
24th.
so I think he was a little bit earlier than that when he died.
Mm.
I never got the details from him, but I think he felt he'd been mistreated by the medical profession. But I don't know. But that was kind of the word I got. Um, but so he had this gig on, and they were a nice audience. And by that time, I'd had my top teeth out. So
Right.
what I used to do, particularly if things were going badly, I'd get my top teeth out, which always produced. Usually, you sometimes get a groan, but I go, I settle for a groan. You're a fucking hard audience. You've done as much as you fucking like. I'm getting paid to back off, sort of thing.
Brilliant. That's so
Um,
good.
but I didn't. Occasionally, I'd have meet an audience who'd be really nice and really kind of up for some more complicated stuff, and then uh, and then I probably wouldn't bother getting my teeth out. But they were such a nice audience that night. I thought I'll let them off. This has been real kind of 100% knocking on nail on the head, anti-capitalist stuff sort of thing. all the usual radical targets, the old Bill, Stock Exchange, John Major, Thatcher, you know, all the
All of them.
rest. Um, I thought I'd give them a rest to get my teeth out. I can have an easy laugh. And there was a woman in the audience who'd come to see somebody else who was going to be doing a theatre group piece later that night, her friend. But the woman who'd come to see her friend was directing an advert in about 10 days' time. She needed somebody with dentures. And apparently there's a real shortage of actors with dentures. So there's just me and this guy who apparently was well known. I'd never seen him, but it was an advert he was well known for. Um, who obviously turned up thinking the gig was his. And probably because I was new, they thought, oh, let's have a different toothless geezer for a change.
That's brilliant. That's so good.
Yeah, and the amount of money the advert paid me meant I could go full time.
Good
And
man.
what I'd been earning had built up. When I first started, I was doing a night shift.
Right.
I was promoted from cleaner to night support worker. Uh, uh, and then I managed to get a job during the day, and then this was like the next step on.
Because one of your other comedy clubs that you regularly played was the King's Head at Crouch End.
Yeah.
And I used to go there all the time. I used to live in Stoke Newington, and I know Hugh Thomas really well, the compere, and I used to go and howl at him. And the acts that we saw, originally saw Harry Hill before he was famous. We saw Jeff Green. Harry Hill still holds the best opening line to any gig I've ever heard in my 50 years watching comedy. He brushed past me onto the stage of the King's of the King's Head at Crouch End, and he said, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really sorry I'm late. I had to have a testicle brought down," and there was a pause and a laugh, and then he said, "From Derby." And then from there, when I eventually met him 25 years later, I told him this, and he goes, "Rich," he said, I still tell that to this day.
Okay.
So I was saying, tell me about your experiences of the King's Head Comedy Club.
Well, the first thing is what's strange about it is that when you get up there, the space feels much bigger than it is. You could be playing a 200-seater. It's got that feel to it. Something to do with the way Peter and Hugh have got the focus organised.
Yeah.
But I've had the best of times and the worst of times, really. I had a gig there. One night, it wasn't going all that well. It wasn't going badly. It just wasn't going all that well. And I did this gag. And I was sometimes ambitious in what I wrote about. So it was about the German new economic miracle. And this guy didn't understand it. I don't think the joke's going to work quite like this, but I'll just go through it. I'd say to the audience, like, we hear a lot about the German new economic miracle, which in those days did exist. And it was, no. And I say, but no one concedes the fact that it's built on cheap labour from Turkey. And no one will put their hands up to that. And that's why they've got an economic miracle. They've got to supply cheap labour.
Yeah.
Vorsprung to a technique, which roughly translated means if you don't like the wages here, fuck off back to Turkey. This guy was
That's brilliant.
It was a good gag. And I had a mate, sadly he's passed now, a mate called Ronnie Rossi, who taught me a lot of what I know about trade unionism.
Yeah.
But Ronnie had been a convener in a factory and all that stuff. He was a Glaswegian. He was blacklisted one half of Scotland. And he said, "No, it's a great joke. because it tells it like it is. But this geezer
Oh
hadn't
yeah.
understood it. Guy hadn't understood it. He thought I was being so Turkish, anti-Turkish in some way. And that, and then I stopped to pay attention to him. I should have gone. I should have said something about I'll give him his essays back on the way out. But it's not a very good fucking mark, I can tell you that. But I didn't. But I didn't.
No.
What I did was I tried to debate with him, and then he just went down the shit.
So
But
how did you
also
how did you
just to
get
finish, not
how did how did you get your gig at the King's Head then? How did you first come across that pub?
well, I don't know because it was still going. It was still quite an important. It was quite an important gig
Yeah,
at that point. Um, it wasn't through the new material night, which,
right.
which I went to a couple of times. They're all really. I don't know whether people are burnt out and by Thursday because I've had to go to work for 3 or 4 days or what. I don't know, but it, that not they're horrible. I always found them. I would try to Pete Graham will see this. He'll
Yeah.
be after me. Even
Because
at the Thursday night, you're still going to see some very interesting stuff. Because you can see people trying out stuff which will eventually become really honed and polished and really good. And you'll be able to say, I saw that gig when it was in its infancy. I saw that
brilliant.
gig when it still shit in its pants, sort of thing. So I don't want to put anyone off going on a Thursday. I mean, all power to the King's Head. Um, I think a good feeling it might have been, I might either have managed to get 5 or 10 minutes out of Pete, and then probably 5 minutes to start, then got back for 10, then gone back for 20. I don't know. But I think that's how I started there. And it's where I got my first ever encore.
Wow. Deservedly
Um,
so.
yeah, yeah,
Deservedly
thank you.
so.
Well, and then we went back and we had fantastic sex that night. I could still remember that.
Brilliant. I believe you. It is the perfect rum. I think the King's Head. I think that's why it works.
Mm,
I was invited to the 40th anniversary of it just 2 years ago, and out walked Hugh Thomas. I hadn't seen him for 30 years, and I went, "My God, Richard Gill," he said, "I remember that laugh." And so I must ensure this laugh. And it was lovely. I'm
yeah,
hoping,
yeah.
hoping he's going to come on here. And Peter has done an interview here. He was lovely, Peter Walsingham, who's the owner. When they had the 40th bill, I knew all the comedians that were on it, and top of the bill was Al Murray, and I'm sitting in the front row. And
Mm.
Al Murray is famous for, if you sit in the front row, he pours his pint. He's so excited to see everybody. He's got a pint of beer in his hand, and the beer jumps up and down and spills onto the front of the audience. He literally took the pint of beer and threw it all over me, and then he said, "It's great to see you, Rich." So that was, I live for moments like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the
Well, can I just ask, because I think it was 3 nights of that, wasn't it, that anniversary?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They did. Well, they did.
I'm hoping you weren't. I'm hoping you weren't there the night I was there because I died of death.
Oh no, no, no! Tell me more about that. Why did you die a death? Was this like
Just
a special appearance?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I hadn't been doing it regularly,
mm,
um, and either you're doing it or you're not.
yeah,
I read an interview with Mark Wigstock quite a long while ago.
yeah, yeah. He's
Um,
been on here.
then right. I was going to say I haven't seen or heard of him recently, but uh, he's a funny guy. But I remember him
Yeah,
saying, "You can't say if you're in Newcastle doing a gig, you get offered a job next day in Bournemouth. You've got to drive the car and do the gig in Bournemouth. And unless you're going to do that, you know, don't bother because you've got to be that obsessed."
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
think he's absolutely right.
He is
But if
right.
I
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
I don't really know the man. I'd like to just, if I ever meet him, will say make you absolutely right with that.
Well, pass on my
Um,
regards if you do see him, because I know him quite well. Um,
right.
uh, what is interesting about the King's Head is that it's the longest. Is it the longest comedy club in Britain? It's been open the longest, or certainly in London.
I think, I think Peter was saying we're the longest running comedy club outside of the comedy store.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's
I
right.
thought
That's
he'd
right.
said that, but
Well,
I might not be right.
congratulations for playing it, because it is an iconic comedy club in London. It really
Can I
is.
just say, I've got a message here. You're on your network
Yeah,
bandwidth
yeah,
is
yeah. Don't worry
terrible.
about that. It's fine. Don't worry about that. We're all right.
Mm.
We just keep going. We'll keep going. So all these gigs that you're wonderfully playing and having a great time. Do you ever suffer from nerves before you go on a before you went on stage? And if so, how did you cope with them?
Well, I went to the toilet a lot. Um,
There's honesty for you. So you did get nervous before you went on stage.
uh, yeah, usually I was very nervous. I,
Mm.
I'm um, the late Carol Sala said to me once, she said, "You're a typical comedian." She said, "You got huge ego and very low self-esteem."
Yeah.
I don't even fall with that.
No.
I
Would
don't,
you
I don't,
would you say that as soon as you told your first joke on stage that the nerves went, or is it the first laugh?
well, it's always good if the two coincide.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but the first laugh, so after the first laugh, I something to say, "Thank you for that laugh. You're giving an old man psychotherapy tonight."
brilliant.
Um, which I think is an, I think that's a version of someone else's gag. Um,
That's great.
you know,
Um, in your long and established career to date, what has been your comedy highlight? Have you got one?
oh well, I did play the Duke of York's once. The
Wow,
Cutting Edge played it as part of the Amnesty International thing.
brilliant. Well done,
Um,
you.
so I think that would have to come pretty near the top.
That's
Um,
superb.
somebody said to me, they said, if only you could have hovered above the stage, Bob, and seen yourself making that whole of a West End theatre stage your own. You know,
That's
um,
fantastic.
uh, I mean, we did the cutting edge, so no one did very long sets. But I think I did a 10-minute set,
Yeah,
maybe even only a 5-minute set. But they were just the audience. They were the right audience for me, to be honest with you.
it just
I mean,
worked.
it doesn't always work. Doesn't always work like that. Think you're, you know, you think you're just next to somebody politically, and it turns out you're not. Um, but that night really. And then I suppose it's been a couple at the Hackney Empire.
Beautiful
Been,
venue. Yeah.
when that swings, that fucking swings. Uh, other than that, I'm just trying to think. Um, I did. I like this one particular. My partner Jane comes from just north of Newcastle,
Oh yeah.
a place called Blythe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, well, Blythe's still saving up to have me up there. But I've played Newcastle a couple of times.
That's a
The
great
first
city.
place we were playing was they called it a wine bar. I think they called it that because there was carpet on the floor. It was not carpet that had been washed regularly, but shampooed or anything. But they had
Yeah.
carpet. the thought that counts.
yeah,
And this geezer, and I was worried. I made a bit of a mistake early on. I reversed, I reversed by mistake into some football material. I had to get out of that in a hurry, because up there it's like a religion. I've just got to stand up. I've got pain in my leg.
no worries.
Um, um, but yeah, I don't know if it was the first time um, I played it, but this guy, this Geordie, kept heckling me. It wasn't really nasty stuff.
Oh
He
dear.
was. He just wanted to be. He was a bit bored. He just wanted to join in, but he he couldn't shut up either. And then at some point, I dealt with him. He wasn't all that. He needed to go to heckling classes. You know, and in the end, they got a bit fed up with him. So I said, "I'd like to thank you, mate." He said, "Because they weren't that sure about me. Then I heard you, and they knew I was the business."
There
I
you
don't,
go.
and then afterwards, he come up to me. Afterwards, he come up to me and he said, "I've always fancied having a go myself." So I said, well, you should. You should. Write yourself 5 minutes. I said, and you might even do it. The first couple might go really well. And if they do, it'll be luck. But whenever you're doing it, at some point, you're going to hit a really bad one. And if you wake up feeling like shit the next morning, but you still want to do it, then you've made the right decision.
Good
Um,
advice.
yeah.
Good
And he looked at
advice.
me like, and he looked at me like I was a complete tosser.
So, okay, so so you've got this successful comedy career, and then you decide to be a writer. Is that right? And you did you effectively give up comedy, or did you have the two running side by side?
I had the two running side by side for a bit.
Yeah,
What happened was the money from that advert ran out.
right.
Uh, and one of the things I liked about being a comic is you could be out and about. You could be out in the West End
Yeah,
at 2:30 on a Wednesday morning.
yeah.
Like, I used to describe it as playing at being bank robbers. So, know, them and the West End people were the only other people you'd see. There's some poxy little drinking club. But so I knew I was going to have to get a job, and I had a series of temp jobs. And then I thought, if I'm going to have to get a permanent job, sort things out. I thought, if I'm going to work, I thought there's no point in, no point in doing comedy if you've got to go to work the next morning.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
whole point,
yeah.
because I'd always wanted to be a bohemian. And I just felt that was, and anyway, so yeah, I went back to permanent work. But I did do, I narrated a TV documentary. Um, so that finally got me out of trouble financially. But the writing, I started writing. I was went out with a writer, a woman called Linda Cookson, uh, who is another uh, person in my life who comes, or not in my life anymore. She comes from New Begin, so
Right.
I believe New Begin is seen quite posh compared to Blythe. You could have fooled me, but apparently it is. She encouraged me to write a bit. And the first story I wrote was about a comedian
Wow.
um, called Johnny Blind. Um,
And are you
so
still doing this now?
yeah, I self-published a novel in 2012 called Bomber Jackson Does Some,
Wow.
which it's about a homeless ex-boxer
That's
um,
brilliant.
and that's in search of redemption. And a lot of people have been very kind about it. Um, and then I've just brought out a booklet of short stories called Jolly Fortune and Other Stories, which is, I, I mean, the stories that I've written over a period. I should say that I've got Parkinson's.
Right.
It's not like I'm not near death's door or anything like that. But I wanted to make sure everything I'd written, I thought was decent, was out there in print.
Of course, yeah.
Um, uh, so these stories come from a variety of times. but they are, I think, all Londoners, and it's amazing. I'm really pleased. I wasn't aiming for this, but by accident, they could all be characters in a movie.
I'm
And that give you a
so
bit.
genuinely pleased for you because you've just thought, stuff this, I'm going to do this. It's like me with the blog and the podcast. I had no idea what a blog was. I didn't have a clue what a podcast was, but I knew I had a list of every single act that I'd seen in every venue, and I thought somebody's going to want to see this, and it's just took off. And I think you've got to believe in yourself to do it. It's like stand-up comedy. You've got to believe to go and have a go at doing it, and then just see where it goes. And so I'm so pleased for you. I really genuinely am, and I'd love to read the book about the comedian. I bet it's hilarious.
Yeah, well, I'll get. Um, that's called very unimaginatively. The book about the comedian. It's a story about a comedian,
Yeah,
but it's just called Bob Boyton Short Stories. But I'll get a
brilliant.
copy of that and Johnny Fortune.
Oh, that's
Um,
very kind
I'll
of
get,
you. That's
mm,
so good of you. I'd love to read them. I really would.
that's all. So you'll have to let me know how I get hold of it.
Oh, yeah, of
Um,
course. Yeah, yeah.
mm,
So I saw you at Arnold Brown's 80th birthday bash. You did come back and do a wonderful 10-minute set for
thank
him.
you.
And I would love to have Arnold Brown on here because I think to get up and do what he did that night just proved what a great comedian he was. He was one of the first at the Comedy Store, wasn't he? With
Yeah,
Alexei
yeah.
Sale and all the rest of them. And the comedians that were in there that night, including you, were legendary. There's no two ways about it. You have put you have been pivotal in the creating the London comedy scene as it is now. So well done, you.
Well, no, thank you, thank you. I should say I wasn't anticipating performing that night,
No,
um, but Jeremy Hardy had organised it,
that's right.
and
Yeah.
he came up to me and he said, "I can't remember who it was now, but he said someone's not coming." He said, "You better get ready, Bob. You're going to have to go on."
Have you got Twitter? No. No, I haven't. No, but I'll do it for you. Well, you were hilarious. You were standout on that night.
It was a nice night, and
Yeah, it was good.
Arnold's such a lovely man,
Oh yeah,
such a
God
lovely guy.
bless Jeremy Hardy. He was so good, and
Mm.
Arnold Brown, of course.
Well,
Wonderful, wonderful comedian.
you
Talking of
you
comedians,
close.
who are your favourite comedians? Did you have comedy growing up?
Yeah, I can't hear you, Rich.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry. Okay, are we all right? Can you hear me now?
I can hear, I can hear you now.
You can
Yeah,
hear me now. Sorry about that. So the
yeah.
question is,
I think
who are your favourite comedians, past and present? Did you have comedy growing up?
I had round the horn growing up.
Oh, superb. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and Hancock.
Oh, brilliant.
Um, and but I've got a strange memory. I remember watching some variety with my mum and dad. I was only little. It was probably the Billy Cotton band show.
Fantastic.
Probably too
Yeah,
young to
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that young man.
Yeah.
But there was something happened. I don't know. I don't know if I was upset about something. I was really little. We used to watch Billy Cotton on a Saturday night. Um, and I've always associated comedy with sadness ever since. There's something, both emotions are in the same realm.
Yeah.
It's the only way I can put it.
I know what you
Um,
mean. Yeah.
I'm, I said to her, 'cause we were going to book up tickets. I said to Jane, my partner, the other day, I said, we've really made it, Jane. I said, we've reached the Godot going classes. Because we're going to go and see Waiting for Godot, and I think it's my fourth or fifth time.
Yeah.
Because that's about comedy.
Yeah, 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 it is.
Oh,
Superb play as well, yeah.
yeah, they're in the comedic realm.
Wow.
Um,
So good, so good. And
and
what
people,
about what
and
about
much more.
now? Who makes you laugh
Well, I've got to
now?
finish. It's hardest to laugh at the people nearest to you
Mm.
because you're thinking, could I have done it better? No, you couldn't. So, so s- someone I'm always interested in watching is Mark Thomas.
Oh, he's superb.
Um,
He's one of the best.
yeah,
He really is,
yeah,
and very very clever. Very, he draws you in, and you're listening to him. He's got an extraordinary ability, and hilarious,
mm,
and true.
mm. I mean, I've got to say, I think at one time I would have said it was, I don't know if it would be John Hegley or Jeremy Hardy.
Yeah,
I mean, they were both kind to me in the early days. Yeah, they're both very kind to me in the early days, which of
so
course
good,
prejudices you in favour of them.
so good.
So I like them. I mean, I like Stuart Lee.
Yeah,
Um,
he's fantastic. He's so good, Stuart
yeah,
Lee. Yeah,
yeah,
the first
um,
ever gig I saw, I was aged 7. We were on holiday, and we the whole family saw Les Dawson, and that would be
right.
1974. And he's still top
Well,
5 for me. I think he's absolutely hilarious. Still makes me laugh now. And then a year later, we saw Tommy Cooper in the theatre, and the curtain opened, and he's lying on a bed. It's just him, nobody else lying. He's lying on a bed, and one woman is in the audience crying with laughter, and it trickles round, so everybody is laughing. He hasn't done a thing, and he just pops his head up after about 5 minutes, and he goes, "What? What? Somebody come on!" He was a genius. And then I
yeah,
got the
I mean,
bug for it. I just
yeah,
started making lists, and luckily I saw a lot of the greats. I saw Ken Dodd, the two Ronnies, um, French and Saunders, Rick Mail. I came down to London in 1988. My first comedy store bill would be Linda Smith, God bless her,
mm,
Phil Jupitus, Richard Morton. The headliner was Charles Fleischer, who went on to voice Roger Rabbit. It was
yeah,
amazing
right,
in those days. It was
yeah,
who was next, and then nowadays I go nearly every week. I go once a week and see a really good There's so mmany of them, and the whole point of the blog is more of an enthuse. I'm not a reviewer or a diarist or anything like that. I'm a member of the audience out to have a good time because it's such a joyous thing, isn't it?
yeah. It can be.
Unless you do it.
Well,
Well, listen, my friend, it's been joyous, absolute joy talking to you. And I wish you all the very, very best. And thank you very much for your contribution to comedy.
oh, thanks very much for inviting me, Richard. And it's I'm soaking up. It's
Well, I
been
hope
it.
we can meet up one day because I've seen you, but I've never met you. And normally, when I see them, I don't know whether you know, but when I see them all, I normally get photographs with everybody.
I'll be you're delighted.
Well, that would be
Yeah.
wonderful. So maybe next time I'm going to the King's Head, I'll let you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Or do you ever go to the cutting edge?
Yes, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I shall.
Tiny living.
I shall be in touch, my friend. Thank you very much, and all the very best to you.
Thank you. Thank you.